Okay, hello, everyone. I see Marcos already here. Hey, Marcos from Luzerne. How you doing? Vincent. Hey, Vincent from Lille, France. Right. So yes, I've been seeing Vince in all the presentations so far. Thanks to see you here, Vince. Um, Amir Abbas. Okay, so hey, hello, everyone. So you can hear me. If you can see me, just say a quick hello in the chat. We are here today with one amazing guy, right? I could read his bio, but he's one of the top Java champions. He runs the JCrete events. He has one of the most important newsletters in the Java. I mean, maybe the most important newsletter in the Java world, the Java Specialist newsletter. So, without further ado, let's hear from Mr. Dr. Heinz. Actually, not Mr. Right, Doctor. Right, Dr. Heinz Kabutz. Hey, Heinz, how you doing, man?
Bruno. Bruno, you're the best. You're just the best.
Oh man,
I can
guys.
never. Your introductions are just the most amazing. The only thing missing is Juggy. Where's Juggy today?
Oh, we actually have Javali over there, back me, right? He's right there, right? So
Oh,
he's the
okay.
mascot for So Java today, right? So that's who is. But
Ah,
I can bring Juggy. Let's see if I can wake him up. You
I
know.
think you must wake up Juggy. Yes.
Yes. All right. So I'll get him towards the end, man. So let's roll your presentation.
Let's
So
rock and
guys,
roll. Yeah.
you have no idea. I've learned so much from Heinz, right, in all my career. But not only that, right, about what he does and the events that he runs and the business that he does. I learned so much from him. So I cannot leave you with better hands. So put your hands together to Dr. Heinz Kabutz.
Thanks so much, Bruno. All right, so we're going to do a talk today about something a bit different. Most of the other talks are really serious Java talks, and this one is a bit more light-hearted. I hope it will be. I'll take in a bit of a story of where I come from and how we ended up here. And just by the way, I've got a little widget. You can see it underneath me here, where I can actually see when there are comments coming in. So, and I can zoom into that. So that means that we can actually take questions during the talk. So you're welcome to say something. If it gets too busy, then Bruno will have to filter that for me. But otherwise, I'll be sort of keeping an eye on what's going on there. So a few years ago, end of 2023, well, 23 was really rough for me because 22, I was panicking about, all of the things post-COVID or middle of COVID actually. And then 23, I took on any opportunity that came my way. So, hey, you want to do this new course? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Hey, you want to do this? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Do you want to do consulting? Yeah, I'll do that as well. Do you want to do this? I did everything. And so I got completely burnt out in 2023, plus other issues that were plaguing me in 2023. And so by the end of 23, I just needed a break. I was quite burnt out. And so I decided to do this, to solve maths problems. That's sort of what I do when I relax, is I solve maths problems. And there's this website called Project Euler.net, and they have these silly puzzles, what are the last few digits of Fibonacci 1 gazillion, You've got to work these things out. And I've solved quite a few of them, as they go. I'm not that good at maths, so I'm quite determined, and I like optimizing code, and I try and figure out better algorithms. So I'm not that good, but I'm also not the worst. I'm number 21 in Greece at the moment. And what the problem though was that with this project Euler, I would get completely addicted to it, and I'd spend up, I'd go to sleep at like 3 in the morning, and from 3 to like 5, I'd be like dreaming of better algorithms, and then I'd wake up and have to take our youngest to school. And I'd say to my wife, sorry, just give me just one minute. I've got to try out this other algorithm I thought up in the night. And then invariably it wouldn't work, so I'd have to go back to the drawing board and try again. And I got myself quite exhausted. But I had a lot of fun, right? That was sort of my way to relax. Actually, I wasn't taking my child to school because it was December. So, and actually, in preparing for this talk, I realized we've got an hour for this talk. Normally, I do this talk a bit shorter, so I have a bit more time, and I actually decided to look at what did 23 and 24 look like for my body, right? What did it actually look like? And I've got this ring, this weird ring. It's called an OURA ring, and it sort of tracks things about me. This little black ring here. It tracks information like how well I sleep, a sleep score, my total sleep, my sleep efficiency, and it's mostly for sleep, tracking your sleep. And also a readiness score that says how likely will you be running a marathon that day. I've never run a marathon, so that's very unlikely. But it just gives you sort of a score as to how well you're doing. And most of the time, when you wake up, you don't feel that great. You know that you're not doing so well. But this actually gives it a number. And it automatically gets tracked, and I've been doing this since 2019, beginning of 2019. So it's quite fun. And if you want to know more, have a look at uraring.com. And so here's my sleep score from over the last 6 years, or 5 years mostly. And you can see that in the beginning, I really put in a big effort to sleep well. And I did quite well. And then I sort of dipped down. I sort of lost it a bit during COVID, the beginning of the crisis. And then I sort of relaxed a bit again. And 22, I was actually doing quite well. And then, the wheels fell off and I went down to 23 and 24 was just terrible. Some of you know what was going on, so I won't to give you the details. And I'm really working at it to try and get out of this. So you can see now 25 has only been the first few weeks, but I'm trying to improve my sleep score. And the funny thing is you might say, well, look at the total sleep as well, because the total sleep, I normally I'm very happy if I sleep 6 hours and 45 minutes a night. Then I'm great. Even 6.5, I'm okay. I can manage. But you can see that I was going 6 hours 15 minutes, so half an hour less than 2019. And you might say, well, okay, you didn't sleep as much, but maybe you slept well. And no, my sleep efficiency was also really disastrous. So it was pretty bad. 22, 23, 24, and 24 was at my worst. As I said, I'm really trying to improve this and trying to write this again. Together with this, there's also the readiness score. Now, the readiness score tells you how ready you are to, conquer the world and do something amazing. And again, you can see that I was doing really well in 22, and it jumped all the way down to way down here 23, and then 24 was a little bit better, but also not great. Again, now I'm really working at it, trying to improve this, doing different things, and part of that was a heart rate variability. Now this one high is better than low. And you can see that I'm still too low here, so there's work to be done here. So what I'm saying is that this wasn't just in my mind. This burnout was very real, and the sort of the ring was confirming that what I was experiencing was actually quite something. Vincent says, it makes me think to the brain meme, waking up in the middle of the night with the solution of a code bug. Well. Yeah, unfortunately that happens too often, and the problem is that if I'm playing with these maths problems, I actually can't even fall asleep. So forget about sleep. That's just not happening. Anyway, so I needed something else, something end of 23 to distract me and to just do something which wouldn't be too complicated and too difficult to do. And I just want to tell you about this wonderful gentleman. Mr. Manolis Koutraikis, and he is the second oldest man in our village, Horafaikia. He's now 91. I think he might be 92 by now. I'm not sure exactly when his birthday is. They recently celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary, him and his wife. And he spent 20 years writing a history book by hand. So you've got all these handwritten notes about our village and the area. And he had the book published. And the book is written in sort of the local dialect of Greek. Now, I know that I don't look Greek, I don't sound Greek because I'm South African. I'm from Cape Town, and my Greek is not great. I can speak about certain things. Like I can speak about food very well most of the time. But if I have like really complicated discussions in a highfalutin language, I'm completely lost. So that's just not going to happen. Anyway, so end of 22, I think it was, I went to visit his sons. These are his two boys, and they make this very strong schnapps. It's called Tsikudya. It's a bit like raki. It's not exactly the same as raki, but it's similar to raki. And they make this every year, and they always invite me to come and have a look and sample a bit. And for some reason, I don't know why, I know it's in the head, but it always tastes just a bit better when it's straight from the cauldron. You know, you just put the little glass underneath and try it, and it always tastes better. It's always a great privilege to join them. This whole thing of tsikudya and Crete, it's really part of the culture. They use it for medicine, and just to hang out. And I remember a few years ago, I was running through the village, and this one elderly gentleman called me over and he said, hey, come here, have a tsikudya. And I'm in the middle of doing exercise. I said, what am I supposed to stop and have a schnapps? I mean, come on, that's not a really good idea. And I said to him, no, I can't now. I'll come another time. And that was the last time I saw him alive. Unfortunately, he passed away within about a week or two. And so I learned my lesson that if somebody invites you to tsikudya, you just say yes. You know, like forget the rest of the day, take the rest of the day off, and you know, just have that bit of fellowship and hang out with people. So this is just a really amazing family. This is another great photo by my friend Wouter Paradens, who's made some amazing pictures of these guys. Anyway, so this is the book, and the book is called My Village Horafaikia Akrutiri Chanion, and it's written, as I said, in a Cretan dialect with very flowery language. So, as I said, the language is already quite highfalutin. And Mr. Manori asked me quite a few years ago if I knew somebody who could type it in, and he didn't want to ask me directly, but I sort of sensed he wanted me to do it. And I said, look, I really can't do that. I can't read Greek well enough to read handwritten notes. I'm going to get it completely wrong. And so he found somebody to do it. And he had the book printed. Unfortunately, the book has all the photo pictures at the end. So, it's of course, it's in Greek. So I bought it, but I couldn't understand it. And this was quite frustrating for me because I wanted to know what was going on in the book, but I couldn't understand. For example, here on the picture, you can see here there's this bay down here. I found out afterwards that this is where they used to do dynamite fishing. So they used to throw dynamite down there and pick up the fish, you know. So you sort of learn all these things about the village that people don't necessarily know. So here's another picture of him sitting and reading his book. Another picture by my friend Wouter Paradens. So when I first tried to translate it, I always want to first use the tools which I've got available without writing everything myself. I mean, you know, we can write everything ourselves, but if there's something that can do the job already, why not use that? So I sort of started a WordPress website, and if you look at horafaikia.com, that's the start of that. I never actually finished that. And I found a plugin for WordPress, and this would then interact directly with Google Translate and make the translation and then store that for later editing in the local database. So you wouldn't have to, every single time for each page, do the translation. You do the translation once, then you could edit it, and then it would keep that. And it did a passable job, as well as Google Translate used to do a few years ago. But there were some problems. It didn't handle tags very well, and a whole bunch of things didn't work that well. So it just wasn't a great solution. And it was quite a manual solution as well. I don't like manual work, manual labor. I'm a programmer, come on. And when I looked at the project again, end of 23, when I was looking for something else to do besides solving maths problems, I upgraded the plugin, and that lost all the translations. And I thought, okay, this is not going to work. I mean, there's no ways that I can work with this. So I looked around for something else, and I tried LibreOffice. They gave me PDF of the book, and I converted that to LibreOffice. And that worked fine for some things. For example, in the book, it's Greek, but they've got Cretan words in there. And so for the Cretan words, what they do is they put a star next to it, and then you know it's a Cretan word. Of course, I wouldn't know otherwise, because I don't know Greek well enough to know what's not Greek. And so what I wanted to do was to see whether I could break this up into different chunks, so you can have like a divide and conquer for the book project. Like the last thing I wanted to do was to do copy and pasting, because copying and pasting is just not a practical way of working. But anyway, so I tried that. I realized that LibreOffice wasn't going to be the right way, because I couldn't figure out how to include sections of another document within that document. And so I tried AsciiDoc. Now, I wrote my book, Dynamic Proxies, with AsciiDoc, and it worked fairly well. It worked not as well as LaTeX, but well enough. And so what I could then do is I could break up the entire book into hundreds of small chunks. I could keep all these chunks on GitHub, and then from the GitHub I could then produce PDFs, EPUB, HTML5, whatever I wanted. So to me this sounded like the right way to go about it, to do something with the book. Now, as I said, the book has hundreds of photos. From some of them are very old. Some of them are like from I don't know, 1920 or some 1930, round about there. So some are very old, maybe even older. I'm not sure what the oldest picture is, but each picture also has a number and a description. Unfortunately, the numbers didn't always match the book, so it was really difficult to get that all right. But here we can see, for example, I merali paralia tu Kalatha ke to grafiko nisaike, the large beach of Kalathas and the picturesque islet, small island. So this is where you'll find me in the morning after dropping the kids at school. I'll do my running over there. So I wanted to translate each of the descriptions as well for each of the pictures. Now, as mentioned before, the original book wasn't that easy to read. It was printed in order to not be too expensive to print. So they had, at the beginning, everything black and white, and then all the photographs were at the end, all in color. And then they had a number which didn't always match. It mostly matched, but not always. And so you could then say, okay, we're looking at this place now. Then you'd have to page to the back, look at the picture, and then page back to the front again. So very difficult to work with. And the same thing with the lexicon of the Cretan words at the back. First of all, if you're Greek, you know that something is not Greek. You know it's a Cretan word most of the time. And then if there's a star, you'd go to the back to look at the lexicon to see what the words are. The lexicon was not optimal. It wasn't sorted alphabetically, so that like duplicates and quite hard to find the words. But it worked for the people reading it, because most of the people reading it know Cretan already. They don't need the lexicon. So when I did it, I decided to inline all the pictures, because I'm not printing it. I just want the PDF. And also to do to do the Cretan words a bit differently as well, just with sort of a tooltips type of idea. All right. So the book translation, as I said, I wanted to treat it as a software project, because software engineering is really informatics. That's what it is. So the book became hundreds of small chunks. Each chunk was in text format, easy to translate one at a time and store in GitHub. So I built the book with the typical makefile scripts, and in the beginning I didn't want to write some code to do it. I just wanted to try it out, copying and pasting it, and I tried with Google Translate, but it really isn't that great. Google Translate was okay for its time, but if you compare it to what ChatGPT can do, really it's not that wonderful. And right about that time, ChatGPT 4 was released, and I was absolutely blown away. I paid for a subscription. I think it's $20 a month, something like that, and I was blown away by what it could do, because even something like poetry, it could translate into something which looked poetic. It wasn't necessarily rhyming, but it looked poetic. So here, for example, is a Greek poem. I don't think this is Cretan. I think this is Greek. If there's anybody who's Greek in the call, he can correct me or not. But I think this is normal Greek. But it's got sort of again a flowery. It's poetry, and the Google Translate is like it is very. It's quite a direct translation. It says, with a rosy torso and thousands of wounds. Yeah, so Amirabas says it seems Greek. Yeah, I think it's Greek. And so it's okay. You can sort of understand what it's saying, but it doesn't really move you. It move me at least, that's for sure. Then the ChatGPT 3.5, to me, is already a bit better with your trunk rosy and heavily wounded, as opposed to with the rosy torso. I don't know, rosy torso just doesn't sound much like a tree. This is about a particular tree, and heavily wounded. So Vincent asked the question, how did I capture the text? So they gave me, they actually gave me a PDF of the book. Oh, Jesper, thanks. I did this for Jesper in Danish, that's right. And what's interesting about the translation is that the original Greek writing is actually, as I said, quite highfalutin. It's quite, and this is how Mr. Manolo speaks. He's an elderly gentleman. He's very educated, and when he speaks, he's very formal. And so the book is written like he speaks, but that translation also comes through in the English. So if I translate then from the English to Danish or English to Afrikaans, you're going to see the same type of language appearing in the other translations, because that's what the original is. When I write English, for example, I write it very, very simply, because I want to write for sort of grade 5, 6 level, because not all the people that read my newsletter are native English speakers. So I want to write it as simply as possible. But he really wants to play with the language and make it flowery and interesting. So with the trunk rosy and heavily wounded, the next one is with your reddened trunk and scarred 1,000 times. So this now ChatGPT 4.0 and 4.0 and 4.0 goes even further with your gnarled trunk battered and scarred. And I really like the last one the most, the ChatGPT 4.0. It really seems to capture the nuance of the original poem. So what I'm saying is that there's a vast improvement in translation quality between Google Translate that we used to from years and years to ChatGPT 4.0. It's quite amazing, actually. Now, initially what I would do, I would copy and paste sections into the ChatGPT prompt. And this is what I said. I would say, translate into English, keeping ASCII doc tags intact. So I'd have like my ASCII doc over here, and here it says something, and then it says the ASCII doc, the image, and then the image colon, and there we go. And we produce this panoramic photo of the meadow as it is in current times, all right? And even though this worked, it was quite tedious, because I mean, we're talking about hundreds of pictures, right? If I do one at a time, it's going to take me a long time to do this. Now, IntelliJ actually has an AI integration. So what I did next, my next attempt was to actually use that to do the translation. So if I go to this image, which is 04980 ADOC, so this is the picture. This is actually really close to my house. My house is sort of on the right here somewhere, the little meadow down here. Well, this is the only place that used to have water in the whole area. So if you now go right click, in fact let's select this and do this one, Alt Enter, AI action. So I've written an AI action here that says translate to English. And the prompt is exactly that prompt. The prompt here, translate to English, says translate to English, keeping the ASCII doctor tags intact. Right? So that's the same that I showed you. And then the selection. So let's do that. AI action. And of course you could associate that with the hotkey if you wanted to. And here it says panoramic photo of the meadow as it is in present times. Now, there is a mistake here. And the mistake is that in the book, they, Mr. Manoli or the person who typed it in wrote this livradio small. It's actually supposed to be capital because it's a place. It literally means a meadow, but the actual translation should have, it's actually the name of the area. So this is what we should do. Now, if we do it again, action with translate to English, it's going to do the following. It's going to say panoramic photo of Livadi, which is correct. Now it's correct. So now it's actually done the area, the name of the area, as it is in the present times. So it gets these subtleties right, which is really good. So I'll just put this back to how it was. All right. So and of course, once I did the translation, I manually went through the book to check whether it made sense, and the English does make sense. I'm quite happy with that. All right. Now, of course, you might be worried about some of these things. First of all, who owns the copyright of the book? Well, Mr. Manolis owns the copyright of the book. I do not own the copyright. It's his book. So, you know, and if you want to translate a book, you have to have the permission of the author. But, you know, we have this problem that what happens about other copyrighted material, you know, algorithms, code, and so on. And what happens to sensitive business information? Maybe you've got an algorithm for doing stock trading and you don't want anybody to know about this, and this gets leaked somehow into your Gen AI. That will be a big problem, or your passwords or API keys, etc. And there are, of course, some real concerns about programmers becoming unemployed. You know, up until now, we've not been worried about making others unemployed. I remember when I was 21 or 22, I was working at this one company, and the guy came from France, from Schlumberger, and the system that they were building was going to make like 20 people unemployed. And I said, well, what about those people getting unemployed? And the guy just shrugged his shoulders and said, oh, you know, too bad. So now it's happening to us, right? Because, for example, I read that Salesforce is not going to hire any programmers this year. That's their plan. Now, I think some of that is marketing, because they claim that their AI is so good that it's replacing, like, it increases productivity by 30%. So they don't need to have so many programmers anymore. So it might be some of marketing and bluster. Maybe they're not really telling the full truth. But yeah, very surprising industries are actually going to be affected by this. You know, models, authors, translators, artists, musicians, sex workers, etc. And when I wrote the slide, I put in there, not hairdressers with brackets yet. And then when I was preparing earlier on today, I thought, well, instead of just putting this in, maybe I should actually verify whether that's true. And I Googled and I found a whole bunch of hairdressers really concerned about AI and saying, we're going to go out of business here. Because where there's a lot of money, really big money, for hairdressers to create very specialized haircuts for brands. If Coca-Cola or Pepsi want to do a brand, want to do a photo shoot, they'll hire the hairdresser to make like this very special haircut for the advert and for the brand. And these hairdressers were going like, this is all generated by AI now. This does everything. You don't have to do any hair cutting anymore. It just generates everything. And the idea with the models as well. One of my friends' daughter has a shop, online store, and she would spend thousands of dollars hiring models. And my friend sent me a picture of a model modeling some jewelry that she sells, and said, "Look, we don't have to hire models anymore." And I looked at the picture and I thought, I can tell that that's generated. I can tell. There was just something about the picture. I just knew. I knew that this was generated. And then I actually I looked at the other pictures on the website and I couldn't tell. The only way I could tell is if somebody told me this is generated. Then I go, yeah, I can see that. But if I didn't know whether it was generated or not, I actually wasn't sure. So this is affecting so many different parts of our world. It is terrifying. Yeah, the person has 13 fingers. That would be kind of a tell that it might be generated. The hands are really hard to generate, to draw for anybody. So you got it right, Johan. That's absolutely right. No, there's something about the way that the angle of the upper body and this didn't look right. But as I said, the other pictures I wouldn't have put money down that's actually not generative AI. All right, I've got just a quick break. I've got a little gift for you. So this is a course. And the voucher is going to work until the end of our conference. We've got until 28th of January. So you can get it now. I would recommend you get it now. Once you've got the coupon, then you'll be able to use it for as long as you want. And I've got lots of other really cool offers. So, make sure to enable emails, otherwise you won't get that. And if the QR code doesn't work for you, you can type in tinyurl.com/JCConf Java Champion Conference 25, and that should give you also a link directly to the right place. All right. So the first thing I did was I would do one picture at a time, but then what I tried is to batch 50 photos at a time. And the benefit there was less latency. I would send 50 photos, then it would do the 50 translations, and then come back with the 50 translations. But it kept on falling over, because at the time I was still using ChatGPT 4, I think it was, for the translation, or it might have been 3.5. I'm not sure exactly, sort of at the time when it was either or. And of course, we've got this limitation on the number of tokens per request, which will also limit how much we can send at once. So I was sitting down at Calathas, the picture of the beach I showed you earlier on, and I was wondering if there's a better way to do this. And I was sitting there at the beach, and I asked ChatGPT, and I said, hey, can you show me, please, how to send prompts to the ChatGPT API using Java? I just typed that in. And lo and behold, out popped some code. It showed me step by step how to do this with Apache HTTP client. I've got nothing against HTTP client, but I prefer to use the Java 11 HTTP client. So I typed in another prompt saying, show me using the Java 11 HTTP client. And a minute later, I had the whole example changed to use the Java 11 HTTP client. So this was really amazing how when I wanted to do some code I didn't know, I just asked and it sort of figured it out and showed me how to do it. And my experience has been with ChatGPT and all of these other generative AIs that it's like my really good friend from university who's a genius, and he knows an answer to everything that I might ask him. I mean, I can ask him about anything, and he'll give me an answer. I don't know how he does it. Incredible memory, incredible knowledge, and on everything I can ask him. I can ask him a question and I'll get an answer. However, the answer is not always correct from my friend. And if he's listening, you know what I'm talking about. It's not always correct, but it's always an answer. But it's always directionally correct, not correction direct. It's directionally correct. All right. So the even if the answer is not 100% correct, it gets me in the right direction. So this is why people like Google are really trembling in their boots, because and Stack Overflow is basically gone, because if I ask with ChatGPT, I'm going to go into a direction which is going to really help me. We did a course yesterday. I did a course, IntelliJ course with AI Assistant, and what we found interesting is there's a prompt that we tried where we basically asked ChatGPT, asked the AI Assistant to tell us what it's up until when it has knowledge, and the AI Assistant of IntelliJ, that it knew until I think October 23, I think it was. And whereas the ChatGPT itself had knowledge up until January 2025, so it was very, very up to date, very up to date. All right, so here's some demo code that it wrote for me. It's basically said, here's a ChatGPT API client Java 11. You've got a URL that you connect to, your API key. And the API key is going to be basically there. You'd have to sign up for it, pay a bit of money, and then you can get your API key. And then you can send a joke or ask it to tell you a joke. Tell me a joke. And we make our HTTP client over here. Sort of standard Java code, nothing really special about this. We make a new builder. We get the URI, which is our API URL. That's this one over here, the chat completions. We put in the API key. We want to have JSON over here. And we pass in the model saying we're going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo with the prompt. And the prompt is, tell me a joke. Okay. So this is the request. We build the request. We send the request to the client. We get back the body as a string, and we're just going to print out the body. So it's just a string. We're not going to parse the string. We're just going to print it out. So that's all we're going to do. So let's try this out. So this is my little demo over here. Was it this one? This one. Okay. So tell me a joke. Obviously, I'm not going to show you the API key, otherwise you'll use up all my money on there. But if you run it here, you can see it's giving me a great joke. It says, why did the scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Oh no. So one thing they're not going to do is to make comedians unemployed, I don't think, except maybe dads. Dads will get out of business. Yeah, Bruno, I don't think that the links work. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. Okay, we'll see. Anyway, what is the number of questions is formed? Yeah, no, it's a drastic drop. It's gone to like 2016 levels, I think. It's really, really gone down. All right. So there we go. So this is pretty lame. It's not going to make you laugh too hilariously. Now, of course, ideally you want to use a library such as JSON. And again, you can just say, ChatGPT, please create the classes for me. So you can give it to give it to JSON, and it just pops out the record. So this doesn't quite fit on the screen. There we go. That fits better if I'm off the screen. But you get the idea. It can just make the records for you very, very nicely. So it's extremely convenient to be able to just simply give it JSON and say, here's some JSON. Please make records for me. And I didn't even have to do much. I just said, just create this code for me. And it just popped it into ChatGPT. And with IntelliJ nowadays, if you've got AI Assistant, you don't even have to leave the code. You can just stay in the code and say, Control Alt Enter or Alt Enter, and just say, please create this for me. So it's quite a game changer for programmers. Right. So here we have now. What I wanted to do is to then translate each file individually. And this is a way how you can do it sequentially. You simply say files.walk, and you stream filter each file. And if it contains locations, then we look for any file that ends with adoc, get the URI from that, make a string out of that, and then we call translate, and into whichever language we want to do. Now, why should this not be a parallel stream? So I want to quickly jump onto concurrency. I've got a bunch of really fantastic courses on concurrency. Virtual threads, non-virtual threads, the whole bang shoot. Parallel streams are built for parallel programming. So if you need to process a large collection in parallel streams your friend. Doing CPU-based work, that's your friend. If you're doing networking, if you're waiting on I/O, parallel stream is not your friend, because it's not going to have enough threads to really utilize or to keep to have the right number of threads waiting. So that's not really going to work. Virtual threads are what you should use for that. So virtual threads, structured concurrency, etc. That's what you should be using. You shouldn't be using parallel streams for networking, and you shouldn't be using virtual threads for parallel programming. So you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing. If you have to drop one of these, documentation goes through. That's a good. I like that, Vincent. I should make a poll of that. That's a great idea. Right now, it also the cost depends on the model. So, for example, the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo was 50 cents for 1 million tokens. GPT 4 106 was $10 for 1 million input tokens. So it really depends, and it made a big difference on the cost. The input and the output tokens. So both sizes will cost you something. And there also are rate limits of how many tokens you send per minute. If you send too much information, you probably will get blocked. You'll have to, or throttled at least. You have to try it again. The other thing you can do is to do this with virtual threads. And virtual threads would allow you to spread this out a lot more and to have a lot more concurrent requests that you're waiting on your API. So the easiest way to do this is to simply say, is to give an execute into the HTTP client and say, use virtual threads, make a virtual thread per task executor. And then what you would do is you'd make a task scope, a structured task scope, which would shut down on failure. And what we would do is instead of translating directly, we would fork onto the structured task scope over here. And then what we do is we would then join until they're all done. So we have like a timeout and say we're going to try for 10 minutes or something until we're done with this. Okay, so let's try this. And what I want to try is to see how much this costs. We're going to first of all see the speed, and then we're going to see how much it costs. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to log in quickly into my platform and show you what my current budget is, and then we'll actually run it and see how much it costs. And I believe that OpenAI is actually losing money because people are using it a lot more than they expected they would be using it. All right, so here we go. There's my current balance, $94.46. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate the book into Afrikaans. So what I'm going to do is go to my book translator over here and add the language, comma, AF, which is Afrikaans. And then I'm going to start with simply having, where's my utils? I'm going to have actually need the config file, which is this one over here. I'm going to have a single semaphore of 1. So I'm just doing 1 at a time. And I'm using the GPT 3.5 Turbo. So if I run the code now, I want to run this book translator all. It's going to, there are about 600 or so files, and it's going to send them one at a time to ChatGPT. And you can see there's obviously a bit of latency involved here. And one at a time, it's going to, do the translation. And it's a lot more convenient than copying and pasting it. Now, unfortunately, what sometimes happened is that it didn't give back the right answer. So what I did was I sort of had this hack where at the end, I sort of sent this magic token, and I looked whether the magic token was there. So if the magic token was not there, then I suspected that it wasn't actually translated properly, that it was cut off at the end. Now the descriptions are fairly small, so it probably will be okay. But if you have a longer, like a few paragraphs of text, you can see that can happen. Now I let this run for a little bit of time, not very long, but if you look at how much was actually made, if you look at the source, no, it's not source, it's under ASCII doc and Afrikaans. So if you find an Afrikaans minus name ADOC, you can see that we made 16 translations. So it's not that many. All right. So if I change the semaphores to say 100, so it can do 100 at a time, let's see what happens. It might block me. Oh, wait, there's something wrong here. No, it's not working. It's not working. It's not doing 100. It's doing 1 at a time still. I thought I might have broken this semaphore. Get semaphores. So I'm just going to, I think I might have a coding error here somewhere. I'll just hard code it to 100. Okay, there we go. So now it's doing, so there's a coding error somewhere there. I'm not going to bother trying to figure it out. But now it's like just slamming the system. If something doesn't work, it's going to retry it and retry it and retry it. So this is now ChatGPT 3.5. And once we're done, we'll see how much that cost me. This is real money. This is not, I paid $100 to load up my account. So this is actually costing me real money here. So if you feel like buying some of my courses, I'm very happy for you to do that, to pay for this translation. But anyway, no, you don't need to do that. So here we go. It's doing the translations, and at the end I should be able to. Okay, so it did it in 45 seconds. We're bankrupting heights exactly. No, it's not that much. I mean, this is 3.5, so 94.46, and it cost me. Okay, no, it couldn't just be 1 cent. I'm sure it's a bit more than that. Doesn't seem to be moving. So the problem is the 3.5 translation wasn't that good, right? So it's not a very good translation. But it didn't cost me much. It was like 1 cent or something. So that's not bad. Now, from that, I should be able to generate my book. So I should be able to, I think it's make. Should be able to make the Afrikaans book now. So I'll let this run in the background. Yeah, no, they would not be that kind. I'm a nobody in that world. Unless I did Python, maybe they would do that. So if I go back to my config file and I change it to use ChatGPT 4, so now it's exactly the same, but for ChatGPT 4, and I need to delete the wait, okay, has it done the AF? I actually just want to do the AF, not all of them. So, okay, so I'm going to stop the make. I wonder if I can do it that way. No, I can't remember how to make the make. But basically, you could generate the PDF and have a book that's fully that would be a PDF. Do I have the AF? Oh, it's there. It's the EPUB is there. So let's open this one. This one here. Open that. Just open that. So here's the book in Afrikaans. And I know Afrikaans well enough to realize that this is actually, it certainly is understandable. I mean, my Afrikaans is not great, but I certainly can understand that is Afrikaans. So if I delete that, what is it? It's ASCII-doc AF. If I delete it again and run it with the ChatGPT 4, now the previous one was about 45 seconds, and I want to just refresh my cost, because I think it might have been a bit delayed. Now it looks exactly like cost me 1 cent. So that's not too bad. But let's run it again. And it should cost a bit more now, maybe a few dollars. So it's doing all the translation again, going crazy, doing a ChatGPT 4 preview. Sorry, not the preview, it's ChatGPT 4. Yeah, preview, that's the preview one. And once it's done, we'll see what the cost is. Now this should cost me a bit more. So 94.46. I think Kirk might be right. Maybe there's some delay in the billing. Maybe the bill will come later. I'll be like tap on the shoulder. Sam Altman going, you owe us $1 million for slamming our API with 100 virtual threads at the same time, you know. So that's possible that might happen. Hopefully not. So Oliver asks about the context of translating it sequentially. You know, not just that. So what you're saying is correct, but not just that, but also what I had to do, because ChatGPT 3.5 wasn't very good, I had to make fairly small chunks of text. And so you don't get as much context as if you... Ideally what you do is take the entire book, send it to ChatGPT, and get the entire result. And you've got the entire context. But they don't have that. Maybe it'll work in the future version. All right, so we should be almost done, I would say. And again, I'll see if there's any cost going here. 94.46. It still doesn't show it. So probably what's happened, it used to show it real time, but maybe they've changed something, that it doesn't update it. So probably later on I'll see what the actual cost is. Anyway, so there we go. It works nicely though, doesn't it? And then something else I needed to do was to copy the symbolic links. And I've got a bunch of symbolic links. And I've never needed to do that. So I just said to ChatGPT, well, write it for me. And it used something called a walk file tree with a file visitor. And one of my fellow Java champions wrote to me and he said, you were right that maybe this was not the best way to do it. And he said, much better to use files.walk. And I tried that. And actually, the files.walk code was more complex than just a normal walk file tree with a file visitor. So I think ChatGPT got it right. Yeah, I did do like a Control Shift R, which does a refresh. So I'm not seeing it. It used to update it, but for some reason it doesn't do it anymore. Maybe it's just delayed. Now, of course, you don't want to do everything just with JSON and with HTTP client. LangChain for J is one option. It's becoming the de facto standard for Java and AI. And the good thing is you then have access to lots of different LLMs and vector stores. They've got a bunch of built-in tools for prompt management, chat memory, output parsing, integration with a bunch of Java frameworks, lots of examples and documentation as well. And they've got a very active and engaged community. So if you want help, that's a good option. So let's ask that one for a joke as well. So this one's finished in 144 seconds. A bit slower, but it does a better job. So here's here's what the code looks like for LangChain. Basically, you're going to make a chat language model builder, and then you say model generate, tell me a joke about Java. So it's much easier. You don't have to do any JSON. You don't have to make your own records. None of that. So this is tell me a joke about Java. Let's run that and see if there's any decent joke coming back. Why do programmers prefer dark mode in Java? Because light attracts bugs. No, come on. Tell me a funny joke about Java champions. Let's see if it comes up with anything good here. And okay. This is basically going to make all dad jokes unemployed. All dad jokers unemployed. Now the other code that I've got, I just generated with ChatGPT. So you can do the same. Just ask it to write the code for you. Where to from here? It's quite good already, this generative AI. But as I said, it's more like your clever friend who knows a lot about everything but gets stuff wrong. So you do have to check everything that they do. You do have to know, where the data is coming from. And IntelliJ actually allows you to have lots of different LLMs. So you can do, ChatGPT 4, 4.0, 4.0 preview, etc. It doesn't use our prompts for training. And they also have an on-prem LLM with the enterprise option. There's also a company called Cohere.com that offers LLM licenses. So you're sort of safer that you're not using somebody else's copyrighted work. Also, Microsoft Azure can apparently partition our data better than OpenAI can. So, we basically have been getting questions whilst we were going through this, but you're welcome to ask some more questions, because we do another couple of minutes. Kirk uses his own local implementation. It offers many advantages. I bet you do, and I bet it does. Thanks for the link. I wonder if the link works. Yeah, the link does work. Brilliant.
Hello, everyone. I see Mark was already here.
Back again. Oops, that was wrong. Sorry. That was wrong. Sorry, now I've messed something up. Let's try this again.
Maybe I'm gonna get myself back here instead of the video.
There we go. Sorry, I was like, what's going on? Why is Bruno here again?
Yes, that's the video on your computer, right? Not me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right. That was the start of the talk.
Yeah. Okay, very, very cool, Heinz. I love that your Brunoception says, John.
Yeah, Bruno,
Okay,
Bruno, you start, you end.
right. So Vincent say thanks for the cool demo. Uh, so Heinz, you still have the time that you want if you want to go ahead and answer some questions here.
Absolutely.
But
I'm
but
here. I'm
guys, let
not
me
rushing off anywhere.
yeah, let me tell you one thing. The Heinz course is totally amazing. So you should go and get this right now, right? So he's being very generous of offering you like a free course right now. And how long does this code works, Heinz?
So the code is going to work until the end of the Java Champions conference. So basically until next Wednesday
Okay,
to get the code. So the 28th of January 2025. But once you've got the course, it's lifetime access.
right. Okay, but
So
the code is for now, guys. So don't
the code is for
miss.
now.
Yeah, just go and
My
register right
my
now.
suggestion is to get it right now before finishing the core because otherwise you'll forget and then you go, oh, what was that code again? And then you just won't do it.
Yeah. Okay, so if you guys have any more questions, right, for Heinz, I really love this parallel that you did, right? Writing the book, writing the code to translate the book in AI and all of that. I think it's totally amazing this combination, and it shows the power of AI, but also shows the power that you have in terms of education, man. It was great, how you present this whole thing. So thanks for. Chila says thanks a lot for the presentation. John, yeah, actually, let me put this in. So Chila says thanks a lot for the presentation, and Johan says great session, Heinz, quite interesting. Um, Thanks for the cool demo, says Vincent. Right, so lots of people here. Okay. So, I've got a curiosity. Do you, how did the original author of the book, how did he like the translations?
He is absolutely blown away. Like he had he didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to say. He was because I told him that I spoke in Athens, I spoke in Ioannina, I spoke in Belgium, and I sort of put a picture of him up, and he is blown away by the fact that we're talking about his book and
Mhm.
that we're translating his book into all these languages. And he a few months ago he came to me and said, I really would like to give the book to somebody, a friend of mine who's French. So no problem. Went translating to French. There's a PDF. It took me you can see now it seems to have done something with the price,
Right.
94.39, a couple of cents. It used to be a bit more than that. I think the billing is now starting to happen. So it's going to go down a couple of dollars probably. But, a couple of dollars and there's your book, a few minutes, 3 minutes later. And to think about how long this would have taken otherwise, I mean, this book has hundreds of pages and has, hundreds of just captions for the pictures. So can I tell you one funny story before we finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
I hope we won't get banned from YouTube. So the risk is we might get banned from YouTube. Okay, are you willing to take that risk, Bruno?
Yes, I am. Go ahead, man. No
Okay,
worries.
good. Let's take that
Yes.
risk. So those who are still here, you're going to hear a story. So
Look, for me, let me tell you this, Heinz. For me, the most important thing is for people to watch it live, right? And so for those that are
exactly, you're
watching
right.
live, if we get banned for YouTube, then whoever was not live is gonna miss it, right? So
I agree. I'm with you. I'm with you in this one as well. So I did the translation from Greek into English, and then I read the English to see whether it made sense. And there's some really funny stories there. It's a great book, really great book. And so the one part it's about this guy getting married, and he's getting like a bridal gift for the marriage. And the bridal gift is blah, 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 this and this and that. And what was the word now? Sorry, I've got to just quickly remember what the word is. I don't want to search it here.
Yeah, while you're searching, let me just say here, Siddhartha says, thanks, Heinz. Uh, Ezuambre says, thanks, Heinz. Amirabah says, thank you so much. Right. And Luis says, I've already signed up. Right. Thanks for the gift and presentation. So, yeah. So, everyone, just make sure that you register. I'll put the link once more in the chats.
All right, so I remember the word. I had to actually look it up. Sorry, I'm getting old. so, so part of the bridal gift is he also got 300 orgies.
Oh,
I'm going like, what? Is that like a gift for a bridal gift? Like, what's going on here? So
300? It's quite a lot.
300 orgies. Going like, whoa. Or was it 300 or 3,000 or something like that? I think it was a lot of orgies. And I'm going like, this is kind of, this doesn't sound right. There must be some translation error. And I go to Google Translate and it says, yep, it's 3,000 orgies, it says it's orgies. And like all the Greek translation all says the same thing. It's 3,000 orgies. So I'm going like, this doesn't sound, it doesn't necessarily sound like, doesn't match the time, Don't know what was going on in Crete in those days, but it doesn't sound right. So I'm at basketball talking to one of my Cretan friends, and I say, well, what does that word mean? And he's going like, it's distance. It's the measure of distance. And I said, well, how big is the distance? And he like shows me, it's like a meter. I said, okay, cool. So it's a meter distance. And then I speak to it's another Cretan, and I say, that word, how far is it? He says, oh, it's about 3 meters. And then the next person has got another thing for the distance, again, a different number. Now, it turns out, I think it's about 1.80 meters. It's basically your typical, arm reach, would be that word. I don't know I can't remember how to say it in Greek, in Cretan. But he got a field of that size, right? Of 3,000 or 300 meters, something like that. And I spoke to Mr. Manolis, and I said, Mr. Manolis, that word, right? It's distance. And he said, yes. And I said, but when you measure field, you measure in area, not in distance. And he said, well, young man, back in the day, we didn't measure with area, we only measured with distance. So if you wanted to have a field, it was basically, here, take this rock, see how far you can throw, that's your field. And that's how they measured that's how they measured the fields, is distance, not an area. So it became really, really complicated, and they're still battling with the whole land registry here in Crete. It is an absolute nightmare. I don't think they'll ever figure it out.
Okay, very, very cool. Now you have to make sure that he prefer which one of those two options he preferred. Ask him that.
This is such a funny translation. It's like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Okay, so Siddhartha is saying that he's signing up for the course. So congratulations, Siddhartha. And Mulher Programadora, that's women programmer, saying thank you. Siddhartha says interesting. Okay. All right. So you guys have any more questions while we have Heinz here? Last chance.
Last chance.
Heinz, you've been doing all those things and doing not only translate the book, but actually experiment with AI. How much do you think that developers should be looking into, actually programming for AI systems right now, or just using AI to help them program is good enough? What do you think this is going to go on in their careers?
You absolutely have to do this. It's not an option. I mean, this is a complete game changer. This is like it's like nothing we've seen in our career. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Um, and it's either we're part of that that's revolution, or we get left behind completely. And I know of systems where you type in a prompt and it creates your entire system for you, like with databases and schemas and everything. GUIs, like the work. It's a long prompt, but you type in the prompt and say, this is what I want. You got your system. And the system it creates is going to be as good as what a junior programmer would do, maybe better. So we either learn these things and become good at it, or we're going to become very redundant. You know, it's like if you don't know it, it's like if you go into a supermarket in Amsterdam nowadays and you don't know how to use a self-checkout. You're like one of the grunts who wants to pay cash. You know, you're waiting forever to get to pay for your bag of potato crisps or something because you don't want to use the auto checkout machine. We have to learn this. This is not an option. It's not optional. It's not optional. There's no way back. That's right. Siddhartha, I agree with you. There's no way back.
Yeah.
It's like even if it doesn't work, even if it's not producing what we need, our managers will never accept that we're not using it. Mm-hmm. Potential is just too big. You know? So they're going to say, well, why are you not using it? And there's also, if you have any product nowadays that doesn't have AI, it's used a few dollars, like $4 or so. So there was a delay here until it did it. So it just didn't show it immediately.
It seems
so if you
it's still going down a little bit, right? So it's
it
might still be charging you, yeah.
Yeah, it's about $4 or $5 for the whole book. It's not bad. So if you're sort of not doing AI, if you're not programming AI and not using it AI, if you bring a new product to market nowadays which doesn't have AI, even if it's nonsense, this is like sort of, yeah, we do AI, but your AI is like ridiculous because it's not really, doesn't actually need AI. You still have to have AI because otherwise people will just not invest in you. Sorry, that's how it works.
Yeah. So how in the very beginning of your presentation you're talking about the questions that even hairdressers are asking about will AI replace me? How do you answer that question those days in terms of developers?
A few years ago people would ask me, I've got 4 kids. We've got 4 kids, and a son and 3 daughters. And they would always ask me, so, your kids are going to become Java programmers and follow you in their footsteps. And I would always say, I want my kids to do what they want to do, what they enjoy doing. So my oldest son, he's a professional musician, and he does, he's a sound engineer, and he's not doing an MBA. And our second daughter is she's a teacher, junior school teacher, and then the third one is busy learning fashion design, and none of them are programmers. And it's like, wow, that's terrible, And the reason I didn't push that is because I've always seen that we are facing an event where we are going to become quite redundant as programmers. Right, and I don't really want that to happen. But we're not working with punch cards anymore either. My dad went to university and he used punch cards. That was back in the day. You used punch cards, and then you had the disks, the hard drives, and SSD, and we're just progressing so fast. So when we become completely redundant is another question. Yeah, Kirk, we know Kirk is really old. Kirk's like 100 years old, so of course he uses punch cards. I used to play with my dad's old punch cards as well, but I didn't actually program with punch cards. But the point is that we are facing the situation, the reality that in the future life might be very different. And at JCrete, we've got this unconference on Crete called JCrete, which is really fun. Bruno was there, and we actually need Bruno back to do another Brazilian barbecue. So, you know, this is we always try and get Bruno to JCrete every year, but we've only managed once so far.
No. There's going to be others for sure.
Yeah. We'll get you back. We'll get you back one of these days. This is all you need for JCrete. But there was a really good discussion about this, and I think it was Ishal raised this really good question, saying, why would ChatGPT generate code, or why would an LLM generate code? Doesn't make sense. Just generate the machine code directly. Because I mean, the thing is, at the moment, like, we still want to supervise what it's actually doing. We want to see whether it's doing what we would do, whether it's writing the code we would write. But in the future, it wouldn't even do that. It would just go straight into binary. So yeah, this was, and we might end up back in that situation where we, where our previous skill set simply doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mulher Programadora says, the point is, should we use AI in everything and use it responsibly, right? So, yeah, always responsible. So, the responsibility, that's an interesting question, right? So, because right now, when we write code, the responsibility is ours, right? So when AI write codes, who is responsible for it?
It's like self-driving cars, right? Same question.
Same question, exactly. Same question. Johan says, it's just another tool in our big toolbox, right? Use whenever we add value. And it's up to you to understand, where to add value, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is that what often happens with AI-generated code is it can generate code so quickly, you end up spending a lot of time on debugging the code. Before you'd spend 2 days writing the code and half an hour debugging it. Now you spend 10 minutes writing the code and 2 days debugging it, and then you get to the same.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Kirk says, Bruno, come back. Thanks, Kirk. I will. Definitely.
Yeah, that was a highlight. That was really a highlight having you in Crete.
Thank you, man. Oh man, you guys are awesome. It was a highlight for me being to JCrete. It was a dream for many years, right? And
I couldn't years to get you there.
Yeah, I couldn't do last year, but I'm looking, and I'm looking again to make it, see if I can make it work this year. So I already talked to Kirk fantastic. A couple of weeks ago. Me and Kirk had a conversation. I already talked about that. So yeah. All right. Okay, I don't see any more questions, Heinz. Is there anything else? Okay, so thanks, Kirk. I'll just put one more last time here, the link for the the data structure scores from Kirk. Oh, I'm sorry, from Heinz. Right?
From Kirk, yeah.
Actually, Kirk, send me your course too, so I can give it away right now. Okay, so Baslur. You have lots of Java champions here in the chat, right? So Basu says AI will generate code and we become jobless and penniless. Good luck for services. The robot will buy your service. Oh, well. Okay. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Okay. And
yeah,
Kirk says,
so that's really, it's always the question about becoming jobless. Because unfortunately, this is going to be a big problem. Another problem that we haven't talked about is with AI. So AI is, in my opinion, already better than a lot of junior programmers. Okay. And so it can do the job and more efficiently of several junior programmers. And so the thing is, in the past, if you just finished university and you didn't have much experience, you could get a job as a junior programmer somewhere, and then sort of get your get your experience and become a medium programmer, and then hopefully get to Kirk's level eventually after many years, get to Kirk's level. But nowadays, the problem is that we don't have this. We don't need the very, very entry level anymore, because a lot of that can be done automatically. So the universities are going to have to really up their game so that they don't produce people who are just entry-level programmers. They have to produce people who already are mid-level programmers so that they can slot into those positions. So this is going to be a really big problem. Dalton, that's a really good question, by the way. Really, really great question. AI paying tax. You see, if AI were to pay tax, like employment tax, that type of thing, then we could use that money for the basic income. So everybody has like basic income that you can live on, and we can just go to the beach, right? You can just hang out at Kalathas and drink tsikudia and go for a swim. And the meanwhile, AI will work in the background and pay taxes, which will put money in our account every month. I don't know if that's going to be fun, but it certainly is probably the way we're going to go.
Well, there's a very, very,
down the road.
Very interesting thing about jobless, right? Because Heinz, you told me once, and I think that's, you said that you are unemployed and you are unemployable, right?
Correct.
That's the way you see yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, in a way, you are jobless, right? You're running your own things, right? And so how do you think that can apply to other developers, especially with AI?
That's a good question. So basically, let me explain the context here. Many years ago, in 1998, let's just say that I had some interesting ideas which my employer didn't like to consider, and so the end of it was that I ended up becoming self-employed. And I've been doing it so long, for over almost 27 years, being self-employed, that even if I wanted to get a job, I don't know if I could do it. Like, if somebody offered me a job and said, Heinz, we want you to become our fractional CTO or something like that, I'd go like, okay, how many hours do you want me to work a week? Like, you actually want me to work a week? Like, what if I want to take like a month holiday and translate a book? No, you can't do that. Wait a moment, what are you talking about? So, because I've been in this world for so long, it's quite difficult for me to get a normal job. And the same thing can happen as well with this AI. Now, if it's just me in this situation, it's okay. But if this is a whole scale thing, it could be very different. Now, Kirk suggests that that automation, you don't lose your job. But if you look at the Industrial Revolution, that took a long time to happen. It took like 100 years before it really took over. But what's happening here is much, much quicker. So it's talking about it. The progress we've made in the last 2 years is absolutely frightening. Even in my little demos I showed, between ChatGPT 3.5 and 4 and 4.0 and 4.0 preview, there's a huge, huge difference. It's really hard to believe. So I think that the change is coming so fast that it's not like it was the last time. It's not like with the Industrial Revolution where we had time to adjust and people started doing other things. So I'm not sure I have too much optimism about that. What did Buzz Lewis say? In general, the trend I observe in Canada is that companies, even in grocery stores, are increasingly adopting automation, resulting in fewer people in the workforce. Yeah, I've seen that in Europe as well. Not in Greece, not on Crete, but certainly in other places. Definitely in Amsterdam and in London, those places. On Crete, it's so different because over here they really want to have the personal relationship. You know, if I walk into my local shop, local butchery, they all greet me by name, and I greet them by name, and they know me. 2013, we were having J Crete, and we had this massive party at our house. We had like the most famous Cretan musician came to our house and performed, and we had a goat on the spit, and it was, I mean, you know, Bruno, you missed the great part. It was an amazing party, really amazing party. But I was getting ready for this, and I went to the shop to buy beers, and I was there with a trolley full of beers and cokes and whatever else you have for a party, and the supermarket. This is not a small. It's like the biggest regional supermarket. The manager came up to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we are having a party. We're having people over and we're having a big party." And he said to me, "You can't do that." And I said, "Well, why not? Why can't I have a party?" He says, "No, your wife's just had a baby. You can't have a party. And, it's going to be too much for her." And this is like, just told me this in the supermarket. The manager's like scolding me for having a party at our house, you know. Kirk, you remember that party? That was an incredible party. But so they really care, and like there's no automation like that. They don't have automation here, but and that's why people love coming to Crete, because it is still a very personable place.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting thing that you're saying right there, because you can have, you automated this whole translation of the book, all of that, right? But the most important part of the book is probably the relationship you have with the author, right? And so and we're still gonna be working for relationships, right? And so, I mean, AI might be able to do some things, but AI is not going to replace the real relationship that we have, right? I mean, of course, AI can fake relationships. I'm not going to say it cannot, right? But the real relationship is still going to have. It's going to be important, right? So that's one thing to consider.
You know, you say that, but I'm gonna slightly disagree with you, because
That's great.
I think that people fake anyway, right? And at least with AI, it's faking, right? And it's like a few years ago, I was listening to a talk. I think it was somewhere Ioannina, I think it was somewhere, and they actually had a so they had a guy talking about AI, and he said that AI can't read people. They can't read emotions. And I thought to myself, I'm sure that's only temporary. I'm sure that eventually AI will be able to read people's emotions better than humans can. So this would get you to the case where you can get a therapist actually being like really, really good as an AI therapist. And instead of paying $200 an hour for your therapist, you end up paying, $20 a year for a therapist that you can talk to 24/7 for the same price. So things that we would not have ever imagined being possible could end up being very possible.
Very cool. All right, so there's some more comments here. Kirk stays
the
very
question
good.
about Morocco, the tourism sector, at the moment in Crete, because we're very strong on tourism here in Crete, it's a really big advantage. It's it's a really big advantage if you know lots of different foreign languages. If you know Arabic and Russian and Greek and English and French and Italian and German and Swedish and Danish, you can get a great job working in the tourist industry. But AI could make that advantage disappear once you have real-time translation tools.
Yeah.
There was one comment that disappeared that I wanted to answer, but it's gone again.
I didn't see anything disappear. Which one was it?
No, somebody wrote something and I think they deleted it again.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so Kirk's saying very good party, right? Okay, so I missed that one. Office Azaz asks, how do you know what's fake,
Sorry, that's one I wanted
what's real?
So yeah, that's one I didn't see anymore. How do you know what's fake or what's real? And that's a really good question, because we need to define that ourselves. Because when you're speaking to a human being, there's always going to be some element which is fake and some element which is real. I mean, hardly anybody will tell you exactly what's on on their mind, and if they do, you don't really want to speak to them. It's like you speak to some countries. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm not going to mention which countries they are. But you'll go to some country and they'll look at you and go, "Hey, Heinz, you've become really fat." Like, whoa, okay. You might be right, but other countries you don't say that. You go, "Oh, how are you doing? You're looking happy. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But other countries are like, "Oh, you look really fat, and you've gotten old. Gee, Kirk, you've gotten grey." So we the normal human protocol is not to be true. Yeah, it could be Amsterdam. It wasn't Amsterdam, but it could be Amsterdam. Yeah. It's the Nordic countries are very direct. There's no sort of buffer there.
A quick comment on, I think it was Basler that said that fewer people in the workforce, this kind of things. But there's some news just this week in Japan, where Japan is actually for government employees, they're moving to a 3-day week of work, exactly because they have less people in the workforce, right? So,
Right.
So yeah, there are alternatives. Actually, if you're looking for reduce the number of people in the workforce, that's one problem that we have, right? We have less people, right? More and more, we have less people all over the world, right? So some countries like Japan and and Korea, South Korea, and Germany, Italy have severe deficits in people right now. So maybe AI can help us out there.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea is asking, what's wrong with saying the truth?
That's the Hungarian approach, I guess.
Yeah.
But even
right.
Andrea has always been very diplomatic and very kind. I know that she has not told me exactly what was on her mind. I'm sure she hasn't.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying is, the thing is that I saw a talk on, I think it was on TED Talk or something like that, where they talk about how much people actually lie. And it is a staggering amount of lying that we do. It really is. It's a crazy amount of lying. Like all the time. Like we won't say things that are really on our mind, and we'll sort of try and soften things and so on, all the time. And I think one of the things that AI is teaching us is just how broken we are as people. Well, if it's broken, I mean that's just how weird we are as people. Because it's more like looking at a mirror and saying, "Wait a moment, what's going on here?" So, what Jan says, tech gets applied when it adds value, like the self-service payment in the supermarket. It works fast, up to 10, 15 products. I just head for a clerk when I have more. Interesting. Yeah, except that my experience has been with that tech, Johan, is that what happens is that the wrong people end up in the with the clerk, you know. In South Africa, they have we've always had petrol attendants that fill up your car, and that's always been like a law that the petrol station has to have people to fill up your car.
That's Brazil's like this too. Yeah.
Is it like that as well in Brazil? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
I think it's like that in Greece as well, because here we always have people filling up your car. And at some point they had one company that decided they're going to do away with this, and they're going to do self-service, so they could drop the price a bit, and they were stopped really quickly. The government stopped them really fast. This is because there were so many people employed in that industry, just fill up cars, that they simply couldn't afford to have so many people going unemployed, even if it saved money.
Yeah, several years ago in Brazil, they tried to start automating that, and then those laws passage prevented. So
yeah. But here, what's happening is we're artificially keeping a job alive that in other countries would just go away.
Exactly. Okay, so I don't see any more questions.
Yeah, we should probably call it today. We've been going over time. It's supposed to be 1 hour. It's like almost 2 hours already.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the last time. I'm gonna put the link in the chat, right? So
one more time, last round.
Yes.
Bing, 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 bing.
Last chance, right? So get your data structure training for free right now, right? Or you're gonna miss that. Okay.
I want to do one more shout out, and that's for Bruno, because Bruno has some amazing. If you want to know about your career, right? I don't know anybody as good as Bruno with his resources.
Thank you.
He's written an amazing book on your career as a developer. I got a chance to read, I think, one of the first copies of, maybe it was actually the first copy, I think it was.
Yes, you know, you got this one here. Remember, I was in the
that's the one. That's the one I read.
I was in the Uber with you, and I had just received the first one. So you read the first one.
I read the first one.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And it absolutely blew me away. And I'll tell you what I found so surprising about the book. What I really found surprising is that, you know, when you're applying for these jobs, now you're trying to find a great job as a developer. So you're applying for jobs, and you send your CV and you don't get a response. You send your CV, you don't get a response. You can't figure out why are you not getting a response to your very nice CV. And the answer is that in many cases, probably most cases, the really great jobs are already gone.
Yeah.
And what happens is that the company, they need to go through the process of, yes, we looked for the best person, but they know that this job is going to go to Bruno. They want to hire Bruno. So they'll write the job advert, they'll go through the whole process, you send in your CV, but you will never get that job because that job is going to Bruno Souza, and no one else will get that job. Even if I come along and I'm actually much better than Bruno at that particular job, I will still not get the job because that job has been allocated to Bruno.
Exactly.
And so what Bruno says is, if I remember correctly, as I read this book a few years ago, basically you need to be the guy or the girl where the job is written for you.
Exactly.
You need to, and how do you do that? Well, you need to become a lot more prominent and well known and famous and successful and good at what you do, that people will want to hire you and actually write the job so you can get it. There's a comment. Bruno's the best. Yes, I agree.
Thanks so much, Heinz, because you made
Actually, Javaland, I'm
made
not going to get to, Johan. I'm not really couldn't care too much about Nürnberg. Honestly, couldn't. And JCon, I wrote to them, but they don't cover travel, and I'm sort of a stingy guy. Being unemployed in that, I sort of only go to conferences that pay my way. So I said, okay, no, I'm not going to go to that either. Okay, then Hamzan asks, in your residence countries, I wonder if people there are afraid that developers will lose their jobs in other countries, or in most of cases, the polls made up at a national level. Well, it's weird in Greece, right? Because in Greece, developers are very underpaid. I mean, if you have like a full-time job as a programmer, you're going to get like €1,000 a month. Like the cleaning lady will get a lot more than you, than an experienced Java programmer. So what everybody does is you might work for a couple of years in a local job, and then you'll just do remote work for somebody else, with some other country. So but that's Greece. Greece, I think, is the lowest salary for programmers in Europe. And often companies go, hey, let's go and start a company in Greece and we'll get people cheap. But that doesn't work because people aren't stupid. They just work online some for other countries.
right.
So they're not going to work at your company and earn minimum wage.
Exactly.
Yeah. But Bruno, how can people get your book? Is it on Amazon?
Okay, so yes, it's on Amazon. It's the best developer job ever.
Yeah. Oh man, what a title!
Yes, the best developer job ever.
Job ever. And it's really.
You have to search for books, right? Yeah. Okay, right there. It's the green one right there. It's the first one. Yes.
I mean, it's $4, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It's basically free. $4.11 Kindle.
Yeah.
Kindle edition.
And I think if you had a Kindle, the Kindle signature, whatever how they call it, you get it for free. So
yeah, the subscription.
Yeah, the Kindle subscription. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so since you gave me that chance, Heinz, so I will I'll have a talk here at the Java Champions conference tomorrow at this time right now. So this time right now, I'm gonna be finishing my talk maybe, right? So it starts at in the previous hour, right? So 43 minutes ago, that's when it starts tomorrow, right? My talk. So if you guys want to come, comments and we can talk a little more about career.
Yeah, so that's really worthwhile. I mean, I wish I had known what you taught in that book when I was young. I would have had a completely different approach to my job search.
Right. Yes, I understand that. But I think you are on the next step, Heinz, because you're really doing what I believe a lot of developers are going to do, right? I think many developers will describe themselves as you describe. I'm unemployed and unemployable in the near future.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
it's an interesting journey. Let me just say, interesting journey.
Cool. And I see Kirk here, so thanks, Kirk. Kirk's gonna be the moderator for my talk tomorrow. So and Kirk are gonna be awesome. Right. So that's all right. So Hans says thanks. Yeah, I see on the last Oktoberverse report made by GitHub, it includes all countries. Okay. And Johan says makes sense. In a way, we pull in the bugs, the cleaner takes care of them. Right.
Yeah, I mean, why shouldn't they get paid more? Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
They get paid more. I'm okay with that.
They do the most important work, right?
They do, exactly. Clean out all the bugs.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's it. Heinz, thanks so much, man. It's amazing.
Thanks, it was wonderful talking to you.
Yeah, in 15 minutes there's going to be another talk. So I think it's the time for us to switch out.
I think so. Yes.
Yes. All right. So So thanks
Bye, Bruno.
everyone. Amazing
Bye,
to be
Kirk.
here with
Bye,
you.
Niels. Bye,
So
Johannes.
enjoy the rest of the Java Champions Conference. I'm gonna give a talk tomorrow. All those talks are available on YouTube. So make sure that you do before you drop off. Make sure you give a like to Heinz's presentation. Right, we really appreciate that. And
Yep, please
also
do.
don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get notified about the next talks. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Heinz.
Thanks so much, Bruno. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Kirk, as well. See you
Yes.
guys.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.